Hello folks, we're going to tie a flashy Bucktail Deceiver today. Now I'll tie these in various colours, from black, sort of roachy colours, sort of perch colours as well, and all sorts really. Tying this fly for a couple of years. It's been a good fish catcher, mainly pike and the occasional zander as well. But it's a quick fly to tie, and we're just going to be using Bucktail, Flash and a Nayat for the head. The movement of these flies is up and down. It's a good searching fly, you know, very light to cast, and I fish from a kayak a lot, so I need a light fly to cast really on my 9 weight, and this is perfect for that. And I've caught plenty of fish on it, and like I said, it's a very simple and quick fly to tie. And it's really up to you what colours you want to tie it in, but I'll just give you the sort of the tying sequence so you can follow that if you wish. You can obviously modify it, but definitely recommend tying this one up. So without further ado, let's start tying. The hook we're using is an Ahrex Track Predator 610 2.0. There's also the 605 out now, which is a slightly lighter hook. If you want to use that, if you want a slightly lighter fly, but I find using a sort of heavy wide hook, I tend to get better keeling with it, so I tend to prefer the 610. So we put some thread down. The thread is GSP 100, and I've put a little bit of glue on that as well to keep it in place. And what we're going to do first, we're going to pick some olive bucktail, and you want some quite longish fibres. Usually they're sort of lower to the base of the bucktail, but not always the case. So we're just going to select a few. Probably best to select ones that don't have so much air in them, because they're a bit easier to handle near the tail, because you don't really want that flare near the tail. I'm just going to take the underfur out, and we're looking for something a little bit like that. So we're going to tidy up the ends and then place them on top, a few wraps around to keep them in place, and just use your thumb to push them around the hook and pull tight, come down, pull tight on those butts to tidy them up, and there we go, and that's what we're looking for. So Flash, I'm using 2 types. I'm using Polar Flash, and I'm using a new Polar Glow from from Hedron as well. So you can use whatever flash you want really. I like the Polar, and I do like this Polar Glow because it's got some matte flash in there and some shiny flash. It just adds a nice bit of colour to the fly. So this colour is lime, so I'm just going to take a selection of that, take the full length. I'm laying that on my vice pedestal, and the same amount for Polar Flash. This Polar Flash is sort of an olivey gold colour. I quite like it in my flies, so I'm going to select that, but as I said, it's up to you what colours you want to go for. And this is quite an olivey, sort of yellowy orangey type of fly. So we've got about that much. So I'm just going to trim probably about 1 inch off the end. We don't quite need the full length, and I'm going to just roll that with my fingers to spread the polar between the Polar Glow, and just taper it. And that then tapers the other end, so you don't need to taper it again. Just double check it. And I'm just going to lay this on sort of probably 60, 40. There's 60 at the back here. Depends how long you want the fly. These flies are between 5 and 6 inches long, which is plenty for on this size of hook. I'm just going to lay that over the top, tie down, and then spread that flash back over just to lock it in place, and then come forward to about halfway, take some more olive. Now we're looking for some fibres that have a little bit more air in them, so I'm going to take some near the base. You don't need too much, maybe I don't know, 1/4 of a pencil width. The bucktail really is just to support the flash, and just add a little bit of volume to the fly. So we're looking for about that much. Not a great deal, but we don't quite need all that length, so we're just going to take a little bit off. So we're looking to it to come to about here. Just straighten those butts by giving them a trim. and then we're going to reverse tie again. So a few wraps over the top, and then push that bucktail all the way around so it's evenly distributed. Now hold those butts, keep your bobbin straight and pull tight to spread it, and put a few securing wraps over the top. Now you could hollow, but you know, you waste a lot of thread doing hollow tie. And if I'm not looking for a steep angle, I'm just going to reverse tie. So I'm going to tie over the bucktail. So I'm just manipulating that bucktail back so I know where it's going to lie, and it's evenly distributed around the hook. I'm going to come twice over, pull down tight, and there we go. I've got a 45-degree angle. So if I want to shorten that angle, I can. If you want a really steep, then you hollow. But for this type of fly, with the profile I'm looking for, reverse tie is fine. And also it speeds the tying process up. I'm just going to a little bit of glue to that to make sure it's secure. And again, we're going to do the same for the flash. So we're going to take a healthy amount of perlaglow. So the greens and the pearlescence in there. I'm just going to lay that on my base. I'm going to take the same amount for polar flash. I'm just going to lay them on top. I'm going to take the flash bundle and just mix it with my fingers to make sure that that polar is well blended with the perlaglow. Polar is quite a sticky material. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take probably about 2 inches off this now. I don't need the full amount, because we want to taper that flash as we come further up the fly. So just roll it, and that perlaglow's and that polar's all mixed up now. Nice. Give it a taper. That tapers the other end. I'll lay that on again, 60-40 ish. Look where the end of the flash is coming, so it needs to be not quite as long as the first piece. Lay that on top. We want to try and wrap that around the hook as much as we can and secure that down. And now we just want to spread it out. Doesn't need to be super tidy. We're just going to spread that round. A couple of wraps around it. Just check it, make sure you've got a good even distribution all the way around the bucktail. That looks good. A few more wraps to secure it, then come forward. Now we want to leave probably about, I don't know, 4 mil from the eye, because we've got the head to build yet. We want to add some glue to that. Make sure it's well secure. Now we need olive on the top, and I'm going to add a bit of yellow to the base. So I'm just going to take some olive near the base. Don't need a great deal, again, probably about, I don't know, 1/4 of a pencil width. Take those under fibres out. If you've got any super long ones, pull them out and then line them back up again. A little bit like that. Now we're looking for that to come to around about here. So I'm just going to trim the butts, and we're going to reverse tie again. Just going to tie those down. A few wraps over, pull tight on top. I'm going to take the yellow. This is like a burnt orange yellow. And we're going to add that to the underside. Just add a bit of colour variation. We want a sort of yellow belly on this fly. Again, straighten those long ones. We don't need all that. So we're looking to come to around about here. Trim those butts, turn your vise around. That's what helps having a rotary vise. You can do this sort of tying. A few wraps to lock it in. There we go. Now we've got quite a nice even distribution around the hook already. We're just going to use our push tool to push that back. To stroke it back until all those fibres have evenly distributed around the hook. 1, 2 wraps over the top, pull tight. There we go. We've got a nice angle there. And if that's too steep, you just add a few more bits of a few more wraps of thread, and come forward to lock that thread in place, otherwise it will come loose. Add a bit of glue just to keep it in there. Right, last bits of flash, and again we're going to use the same again. So we're going to take the Pearl Glow, but this time we're going to cut it in half. We don't need the full amount. Cut it in half, but we're going to use both halves. Have it slightly denser as you get nearer the head. And the same amount of Polar Flash. Again, cut it in half, and then take it, mix it up, and get all of it slippery. Give that Polar a good mix through the Pearl Glow. It's quite a sticky material, doesn't tend to separate very easy, but you've got to keep rolling it until it does. There we go. So we're looking for a nice taper like that. Again, we're just going to put this on 60-40, and we're going to wrap it all the way around the best we can. More on top than the bottom, like so. And then we're just going to use our push tool just to manipulate that flash all the way around the hook. Sometimes it doesn't always work, you might as well just use your fingers like that. Come over a couple of times. That looks good. Right, for the last piece, we need to build a slight head. The reason we're building a head, I mean, you could fish this like this, but we're building a head really so we've got a base to add the eyes, and just maybe change the color variation a little bit more. So I'm taking some Nayat. I've got some olive here. I don't need much of it. What I'm going to do, it's quite a light olive, so I'm just going to darken it with some black Nayat as well. So I'm just taking a small piece off like that. Probably don't need that length. I'm just going to take an inch off. I'll take some black, which is slightly shorter and slightly has slightly more under fibre to it. Take about the same amount. Take those short under fibres near the base out. I'm just going to blend that quickly. Blend it as long as you want. Depends what sort of colour scheme you're looking for. I mean, I like to blend this nice so the black doesn't really show in clumps in the head. So give it a good mix. Just pull it through your fingers. And once that's blended, we're going to add some Angelina Fibre to it. We could use angel hair. I think it's the same thing. That looks good. So we're going to add some peacock. Angelina Fibre, which is like a mix of bronze and greens, which is a nice perchy colour. I'm going to mix that all together. That looks good. I think that's probably a good blend now. And we're going to take the long ones, because you've got short fibres in here and long ones. So we're going to take the long ones out, and we're going to lay them on top and pull them in line with the shorter fibres. So that's going to be the front of our tie-in. We're going to turn that over. We're going to add some glue before we put it down to keep everything in place. We want to make sure we tie durable flies. And one of the reasons why I use Nayat particularly is because it's very durable material. And one of the things I've noticed of a lot of the dubbings out there is they don't particularly last well in your fly box. They fuzz up and they don't look particularly appealing. So I want a fly I can look at in a fly box and think, oh, that looks nice, I'm going to fish that. So that's what I tend to do. Now for the underside, we're going to mix a bit of yellow and orange. So for that, I'm just going to take some fox. I've got some fox lying around, which is a nice light orange colour. And you don't need a lot of this, just a little bit. And we don't quite need that full length. So we're looking for that orange to come to around about here. So I'm just going to take a little bit off. I'm going to turn this round. I'm going to tie that in without catching the other fibres, like so. And I'm going to take some yellow Nayat, just a little bit. Don't need much of this. We'll just quickly mix that up to make sure those fibres are tapered. That looks about right. Just pull the long ones out, lay them flat in line with the under fibres. Let's spin that round, and then just lay them on top, and on top of the orange, as the orange will come over the yellow when we reverse this. So whip finish. Pull tight. Take off the thread. Add a bit of glue on both sides, so that glue soaks into the thread and through the material to lock it in place. So what we're going to do now, we're going to reverse this. Come a little bit close to the eye on this one, but that's the trouble when you tie fresh in the morning without practicing. I don't always get it right, but that looks pretty good. And we're just going to hold that in place, and we're going to reverse the orange and the yellow as well, and just give it a gentle brush just to take any knots out and to spread it around evenly. So holding that in place, we're just going to use our fingers to push that back. We're going to take our clip, hold it, and just check everything's lined up as it should before we start gluing the eyes on. That looks good to me. So for eyes, we're going to use Deer Creek Volcano eyes in 10mm. Nice yellowy, sort of orangey red with a black pupil. I like these eyes. And I find the best way to put them on, if I want a nice sturdy eye that's going to last, is to first of all soak it with tear mender, which I'll do now. All the way around, and take some Evostik Serious glue. There are other glues out there that do the same job, and one that's not blocked up like mine is. There we go. Add a dollop of glue down where you want to put the eyes, and then put them on about 1 or 2 mil from the actual eye itself. Hold them down. Same on the other side. Any bits of glue that come out, just wipe them away. There we go. So we want to take that off. We want to take the fly out. We want to manipulate the head to get to the shape that you're looking for. And just work those eyes. You've got plenty of time with this glue because it doesn't set straight away. So work it to how you want the head to look. I like a sort of 45-degree angle to mine, and even on both sides. Make sure that orange is distributed properly. A little bit like that. Just press the top, so you've got the nice shape you're looking for. So that's what I'm looking for, really. So what I do I think I said in my last video, in 5 or 10 minutes time, I'll come back to those eyes and I'll squeeze them again. And as that glue sets, they'll lock in place then, and they'll even up. I find this a better way of doing it rather than putting a peg over it or something, because if you make a mistake, that's it. You can't go back and readjust or anything like that. Of course, you could use epoxy if you wanted to as well. I can't because I'm allergic to it, so I tend to use this sort of gluing method. And what I do, once it's all set, I tend to leave it overnight for that tear mender to fully harden and go clear. And then I soak it with, give it a coating with Deer Creek Fine Flex UV over the eyes and over the part of the head where it's glued, and that usually keeps the eyes on for a good period of time. But eyes will be the first thing that do come off, unfortunately. There's no way around that. It's just the way it is. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe, give it a like, leave us a comment. Any questions, just let me know. See you later. Bye.